Sylvia, can you hear us and test your mic?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear me? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Should we get started then?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right. Good morning, everyone. It's just about 9 o'clock at this meeting of the Executive Transition Committee. I'd like to call to order. And we have Commissioner Rhodey joining remote due to illness. And so Commissioner Rhodey, could you just share your location for the record?
Yes, joining from Allendale.
Okay, thank you. All right, first up is the approval of the agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Support. A motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving this morning's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion carried. Next up, we have consent resolution. Could I please, which is just the minutes from the November 19 meeting, could I get a motion to approve the consent resolution, please?
I'll make that motion.
Support. Okay, motion and support. All in favor of approving the consent resolution, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carried. Okay, next up on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anyone here who would like to offer a public comment? Welcome.
Good morning, Sheila Dedloff, Holland Township. I'm just wondering if you might address where Commissioner Cosby has been for this is the third meeting now that she hasn't been here. With only 5 people on the committee, it seems like it wouldn't be too difficult to find a time when all of you can attend. So I just find it curious that especially on Tuesday, she was here for Health and Human Services and then she left before the interviews began. Thanks.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the committee? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the agenda and action requests. We just have one. So this item is essentially to select, possibly 2 at the pleasure of the committee, individuals to move to the second round of interviews. So before we get to an actual motion, I don't want to pre-fill any names or anything like that. So I guess I would just ask for brief discussion to see if there's any consensus on the names that we would like to see in this motion.
I can start. That's, overall, I thought that all 4 were high quality. I think all 4 had things about them that I could see them being successful in a role like this. I think with that said, in my mind, approaching this, narrowing it down to 2, I felt that James Lauer and James Freed had the, I guess, best showing of their skill set and relative experience to what we're tasked with doing here. So those are the 2 individuals that I felt were the strongest in the interview and provided, solid examples to the questions that we posed to them of relevant experience and skill set.
Going off of that, I want to give a lot of credit to the 4 individuals that came here and did a interview in the public and being recorded. That's not an everyday occurrence, I don't think, for most individuals that go through an interview process. And I just want to acknowledge them being willing to put themselves out there in that spotlight. I do believe that based on the resumes that came through, that all four had shown signs of being able to work on behalf of us as a county administrator. I do think that two rose to the level of our next steps of needing to proceed forward during that interview process. And I believe I concur with my fellow Commissioner Belknap that I believe that James Freed and Jim Lauer would be worthy of a second round interview to be conducted tomorrow.
Commissioner Rhodey, did you want to add anything to the discussion?
Yes. Excuse my voice. Yes, I think I did come to the same conclusions. I believe that James Freed and James Lauer are the closest match to what we're looking for. They both have a real depth of knowledge when it comes.
Commissioner Rhodey, I'm sorry. It's a little, the microphone's a little scratchy sounding. Could you try maybe adjusting it a little bit?
I'm not really sure how to adjust it. Do you want me to just try to get closer?
That worked great. Whatever you did was great. Yeah, please, sorry, please continue.
Nope, that's okay. It's probably my voice actually. So, and I think both James Freed and James Lauer both most closely match what we're looking for when it comes to their depth of knowledge and their experience. I think both of them have, I think both of them would be well prepared to step into this position based on, all the things that they've done. And so those are my two recommendations.
Okay.
And again, I would just echo, I really appreciate all four candidates coming forward and participating in a public interview and, just appreciate their willingness to do that.
All right. Sounds like there is some consensus. So I guess I would look for a motion based on our suggested motion.
I'll take a stab at that, Joe. And I'm gonna name these in alphabetical order because in my mind, I don't have I'm not prioritizing one over the other. So with that said, recommended or suggested motion to select James Freed and James Lauer to advance to second round interviews for county administrator at the Executive Transition Committee meeting held tomorrow, November 22nd.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion and support. And so I have a few thoughts as well, but would anyone else on the committee like to add anything else to the discussion so far? Okay, thank you. I will echo some of what's been said I'm very thankful for everyone who has expressed interest in the position. It is a very unique and great opportunity. The four, I'm very thankful for the four who came and did public interviews. It is something that is a little unique. And I'm very thankful for that. That takes courage, it takes commitment and openness and transparency. So I'm really thankful. As we went through the interviews and got to listen to responses, and I looked at the job description and the resumes, one thing I really do care about is that experience that an individual would be bringing to the county, their experience, their perspective, their knowledge. And, for me, I'm looking for personally, I'm looking for someone who will want to be here for the long term, who wants to provide a calm, a stable environment, who talked about that in their interviews, who has that as a desire to bring to the county. And based on that, I also support moving James Freed and Jim Lauer to a second round of interviews. And would just also like to just echo thanks for everyone who has applied and for all the people who have offered feedback as well. It's greatly appreciated. And I really appreciate the phone calls and the time as we go through the process. So with that said, is there anything else for discussion?
I I don't want to dismiss the other two individuals. I think, we had a lot of time with them. I think we got to sort of see a little bit behind of what makes them tick. And, just kind of looking over some of the things, I picked up some things of, you could tell that Chris and Patrick have a wide array of background and different types of roles and different type of experience, even outside of government sector and administration. And I think all four really represented a value of being collaborative. And, they've, kind of provided some evidence that, they can work with, folks inside and outside of their organization. You just kind of think the body of work among all four with regard to, moving forward infrastructure. The conversation with Christopher Estes about, his work and sort of the arts and culture of, East Michigan and Flint area. All of that, is, those experiences and those relationships, he, I think, represented very well. And the same with Patrick Jordan, having spent time in Texas and Alaska, dealing with, folks from all walks of life. So I think both of those two individuals, although not moving on in this realm, this position, I'm looking forward to great things for them in their futures.
Very well said, Roger, and I would echo that. I appreciate that you shared that today.
Commissioner Rhodey, anything else before we go to the clerk?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right, we can go to the clerk for the roll. Or actually, let me clarify the motion real quick. So the motion was to select James Freed and James Lauer to advance to second round interviews for county administrator at the Executive Transition Committee meeting tomorrow, November 22nd.
Mr. Belknap,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yes.
Mrs. Miedema,
Yes.
Mr. Moss.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, up next is public comment. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee? Seeing none at this time, this as adjournment is at the call of the chair. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.